What's up guys? In this video I will show you the top 5 best gaming CPU of 2023. Through extensive research and testing, I've put together a list of options that'll meet the needs of different types of buyers, so whether it's price, performance or its particular use, we've got you covered. For more information on the products, I've included links in the description box down below. Like the video, comment and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get started. Number 5. AMD Ryzen 9 7950X. The AMD Ryzen 9 7950X is the vanguard for a whole new generation of CPUs and GPUs launching in these next few months. But despite its many advances, a whole new AM5 motherboard platform, and shiny new heat spreader design, this isn't the best gaming CPU we were hoping for. I mean, it's good, and certainly smashes the 16-core Ryzen 9 5950X from the Zen 3 generation. But this Zen 4 chip has a resurgent Intel CPU architecture to deal with in Alder Lake and Raptor Lake. With the Core i9 13900K offering so many cores itself now, it's very much encroaching on the hallowed high core count space of the Ryzen 7 7950X. The new Ryzen 9 7950X is an evolution of the Zen 3 design and is at once a brute of a processor, running at the ragged edge of its thermal constraints, and yet with an impressively elegant design. Even on the outside, yeah, I'll say it, I love that new heat spreader look, but it's still not the processor I'd pick up today, and there's a chance it might get savaged out there for being more of a derivative than a revolutionary CPU. There's no spectacular new tech on display, no vertically bonded cache chips, no extra cores, just a healthy clock speed bump, some finessed microarchitecture, and a new socket. It is certainly fast. I did a bit of a double take checking out the numbers when I saw the Cinebench R23 single thread run, tipping the odd core up to 5.9 GHz. Even stable at 5.8 GHz was pretty shocking. It's not quite that high under all-core load, but 5.4 GHz across all 16 cores still makes it one blazing chip. Though it's not the gaming champ, it is still the best all-round AMD CPU. It's blazing in another way, too, because damn, does this thing get hot actually? No, it's okay. AMD says that at 95 degrees it is not running hot. Rather, it will intentionally go to this temperature as much as possible under load, because the power management system knows that this is the ideal way to squeeze the most performance out of the chip without damaging it. But does fast and hot make it the ultimate gaming processor? Not really, not at all. In fact, on that score, it will often get outperformed by the 8-core Ryzen 7 7700X, which launches alongside it. It is comfortably faster than the previous generation's Ryzen 9 5950X, which is important. You will likely see a lot made about it being a disappointing release, but to me, it feels like a confident, consistent release. You could argue it's maybe not super ambitious, but AMD has got where it is today by always delivering on its Zen promises, and yet again Dr. Su's gang has absolutely done that. The Ryzen 9 7950X is the fastest, hottest, most power-hungry Zen chip yet, but though it's not the gaming champ, it is still the best all-round AMD. Number 4. AMD Ryzen 7 7700X. Essentially, what we have here is a direct replacement for the Ryzen 7 5800X of the previous generation, but it's called a 7700X because the 7800X designation is likely being reserved for a Zen 4 3D cache gaming chip. I'd imagine that's what AMD will hope to bring the fight to Intel's 13th gen chips, which are right now leading the way. That's not to say there's not good value to be found in the Ryzen 7 7700X. However, we've got 8 Zen 4 cores here, with simultaneous multi-threading delivering 16 threads of compute power. We've run a deeper look at the new Zen 4 architecture here, but suffice to say it's a derivative of the Zen 3 tech, but with some extra 2-layer cache and a redesigned front end, created to better feed data into the wider execution engines brought into the previous generation. The Ryzen 7 7700X is an excellent example of the generational improvements of the Zen 4 architecture. Oh, and higher clock speeds. Way higher clock speeds. Okay, the Ryzen 7 7700X isn't up to the 5.9 GHz heights of its 16-core brethren, but with an all-core frequency of 5.15 GHz out of the box, it's still seriously impressive. Under single-core loads, such as those of most game engines. I've measured it running at 5.55 GHz. These would have been heavily overclocked frequencies just a few months back, and we're getting them in stock clocked AMD chips. The Ryzen 7 7700X sports the same 105 WTDP as the Ryzen 7 5800X and 5800X 3D. But its 5nm compute and 6nm I/O dies deliver efficiency improvements, and the Eco Mode feature delivers outstanding performance per watt figures. I'm a big fan of Eco Mode and the Zen 4 generation of chips, and probably more so with this middle-order processor too. The Ryzen 7 7700X is an excellent example of the generational improvements of the Zen 4 architecture, especially on the efficiency side. This third-tier chip is pretty regularly beating the cache-heavy Special Edition CPU of the last generation, and that was the best gaming processor AMD had ever made just 5 months ago. It's efficient, hella fast, and can deliver on the gaming front. Number 3. Intel Core i9 13900K. Intel's Core i9 13900K is spectacularly good at what it does, and what it does is pretty much everything. Gaming, of course. It can push high frame rates alongside the latest GPUs. Multitasking, yep, easy. With 24 cores, it's perfectly suited to lots of stuff happening all at once. High-demand creative workloads, absolutely. It barely breaks a sweat. Intel's hybrid architecture has really come into its own with the Core i9 13900K. Throw it at any problem, and it's likely going to solve it in record time. The Core i9 13900K actually makes X-het chips look slow by comparison. In fact, Intel's Core i9 13900K is almost 10,000 points clear of the Core i9 12900K in Cinebench R23. In the Blender Junk Shop benchmark, the Core i9 13900K is 60% faster than the Alder Lake chip. If you want lots of speedy threads to throw at creative apps, this is it. When it comes to gaming performance, the Core i9 13900K is equally impressive. This chip does little to hold back a modern high-end GPU, such as the RTX 3080 we're testing with, and I have no doubt it'll make the best pairing with Nvidia's new RTX 4090 too. Minimum and 0.1% lows were also impressively high and consistently so, which is a good marker of CPU performance nowadays. Now for some PC builders, that's an easy buy. If you want the fastest chip around, here it is, but I would suggest that most PC gamers with a moderate budget will want to look at the Intel Core i5 13600K instead. Sure, it's not as fast or as threaded, but it delivers nearly as high frame rates in games, and has plenty of multi-core chops for content creation and streaming, all for nearly half the price. But to say the Core i9 13900K is too expensive would be wrong. It's actually, surprisingly priced roughly the same as a Core i9 12900K, despite being much faster, offering 8 more cores, and arriving on a now cheaper platform. I'm not going to belabor the point. This is a mighty processor at a surprisingly reasonable price, and a lot of builders will want one, simply because it's the best of the best. We're not at a loss for incredible processors right now, and Intel's Core i9 13900K is top. Number 2. Intel Core i5 12400. Even though the Core i5 12400 is close to being replaced by a newer 13th gen chip sometime in 2023, likely early on but we don't know for sure, we still recommend it for any budget builds between now and then. The Core i5 12400 is nearing legendary status in the Alder Lake lineup, and that's because of its unprecedented ability to overclock where it shouldn't. The lack of a K at the end of the Core i5 12400's name should denote its lack of overclocking prowess, but somewhere in the silicon, it has the ability for BCLK overclocking. With a motherboard capable of taking advantage of the Core i5 12400's overclocking ability, we managed to push this little chip that could to 5.2 GHz rather happily. It didn't run too hot or too power hungry to do it either, though you will need to be considerate of cooling potential before attempting this. Similarly, Intel doesn't recommend anyone does this, though that's true of pretty much any overclocking nowadays. The company also could close the door on the non-K series overclocking at some point, so keep that in mind if that's the sole reason you're thinking of purchasing this chip. If you're not looking to overclock in the slightest, however, don't fret. The Core i5 12400 was already impressive without its secret ability, and with cooler included at this price tag, it's one hell of a great deal. Number 1. Intel Core i5-13600K. The Intel Core i5-13600K is another mighty mid-range chip from Intel, and you can expect a major uplift in core counts. Even with this more parsimoniously priced Raptor Lake chip, well tuned to deliver high gaming frame rates, this is ultimately the chip most gamers should consider first for their next gaming PC. The Core i5-13600K is a 14-core processor, made up of 6 hyper-threaded performance cores and 8 efficient cores for a total of 20 threads. That's 4 more E-cores than this chip's predecessor, the Core i5-12600K. But don't be fooled by the E-core's diminutive name and silicon footprint. Those 4 extra cores make for a significant increase in multi-threaded performance. The Core i5-13600K's single-threaded Cinebench score, exactly the same as a Core i9-12900K. Alright, real-life performance won't see the Core i5-13600K matching the Core i9-12900K in every regard, but it really does deliver something similar in gaming for a lot less money. In 3 out of 6 games I've tested, the Core i5-13600K matches the pace of the Core i9-12900K. We're once again seeing the best gaming chip come from the lower rungs of the stack with Raptor Lake. The Core i5-13600K delivers exceptional gaming performance in a sensibly priced package, delivering only a handful of frames less than the processors that fetch double the asking price. For a gaming PC built in 2022-23, this is absolutely the chip I'd recommend to most. But I'd go one further than that. The inclusion of 4 more E-cores turns this processor into a 14-core chip, with the multi-threaded performance to deliver in high-demand applications, and that makes it a great fit for streaming, content creation, editing, and more. The Core i5-13600K is much more of an all-round powerhouse than I had expected it. If you guys like this video or found this video helpful, please like the video. If you have any questions, you can ask in a comment. All the products mentioned in this video, links are in the given description. If you are new, then subscribe to this channel, press the bell button so that you can get notification of new videos.